My brother Alex always had a knack for taking things that weren't his. As kids, he'd swipe my toys, claiming he deserved them more. In high school, he drained my college fund, said he needed it for his future. But this time, he crossed a line. He took everything I had, my entire life savings, $127,000, gone. It had taken 5 grueling years of double shifts and relentless sacrifice to build that nest egg. I discovered the theft on an ordinary Tuesday morning. My bank account, the one I checked obsessively, watching it grow with every hard-earned deposit, showed nothing. Zero. My dream of opening a business, wiped out in an instant. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Then I found the transfer record, every cent redirected to a wedding venue deposit, Crystal Lake Manor. Hands trembling, I called Alex. He picked up on the third ring, sounding relaxed, like he hadn't just shattered my future. "Oh, Emma finally noticed," he said with a laugh. "I was wondering when you'd call." "Alex," I said, my voice cracking, "that was my savings. How could you? How did you even get into my account?" "Mom gave me the details. Remember when you listed her as your emergency contact? She thought she was helping. Jessica and I need a proper venue. You know, her family's old money, there are expectations." I felt like I'd been punched. Our mother, always quick to defend Alex, had handed him the keys to everything I'd worked for. "You need to return the money, now." "No can do," he replied, his tone suddenly cold. "Non-refundable deposit. And come on, Emma, you were going to waste it on that cafe fantasy of yours? This is going to something real, something important. Jessica's family needs to see we belong in their world." I sat there, silent, phone pressed to my ear, listening as my own brother reduced my dreams to a punchline. "The wedding's in 3 weeks, he added. "Don't come if you're going to cause a scene. Jessica's family doesn't need drama." Then he hung up. They thought I was weak, that I'd just roll over. What they didn't know was that I'd spent the last 3 years building something of my own, something much bigger than a cafe. That story, just a smokescreen. Quietly, I'd been buying and restoring small event venues. The first was a rundown garden space I picked up cheap. I put in the sweat, learned the industry, and slowly grew. 1 venue became 2, then 3. I ran everything through an LLC. No one in my family knew. Preston Ventures LLC, my LLC, now owns some of the most desirable wedding venues in the state, including Crystal Lake Manor. I opened my laptop and logged into the venue management system. Sure enough, there it was, the Preston, Montgomery wedding. Jessica's father had spared no expense. Every premium add-on checked. Nearly $200,000 spent, at my venue. I considered canceling the booking then and there, but no, that would be too easy. This wasn't about revenge, it was about revelation. I picked up my phone and called my assistant. "Maria, do you remember the Preston, Montgomery wedding at Crystal Lake?" "Of course, Miss Preston. The bride's father has been very particular." "Good, I'd like to personally attend the final walkthrough, the one where both families will be there." "Consider it done." I smiled. In a drawer nearby sat the signed ownership documents, my name at the top, sole proprietor of Crystal Lake Manor. Time to introduce myself properly. While Alex and Jessica basked in pre-wedding bliss, I combed through their contract. They'd opted for the most luxurious experience we offered, nearly $250,000 worth of perfection. Mom tried to call, twice. I didn't pick up, let them think I was broken, defeated. In 3 weeks, they'd see just how wrong they were. The day of the final walkthrough arrived, cloudless, sharp with anticipation. I dressed with purpose that morning, a sharp, tailored suit that cost more than Alex earned in a month. Not that he'd ever guess. To him, I was still just Emma, the sister with the laughable cafe dream. As I drove to Crystal Lake Manor, memories churned through me. All the times Alex had taken from me, all the excuses our parents had made. "He needs it more," they'd say. "You understand, don't you, Emma?" They were about to understand exactly what that cost me, and what it would now cost them. I pulled into the private parking lot and watched as the Montgomerys arrived in a convoy of luxury cars. Jessica stepped out of a gleaming Mercedes, dressed in labels she probably assumed I couldn't pronounce. Alex followed, preening in his designer suit, already playing the part of the successful son-in-law. Our parents arrived last. Mom was practically tripping over herself to impress Jessica's family. It was time to show them who truly belonged in this world. I waited until they had all gathered inside the grand entrance hall, Alex boasting loudly about how he'd secured such a prestigious venue. Then I stepped in. My heels echoed sharply across the marble floor as every head turned. "Welcome to Crystal Lake Manor," I said evenly, savoring their confusion. "I believe we need to revisit some terms of your contract." Silence settled like fog. Alex stared at me, slack-jawed. Jessica clutched her designer handbag like a shield. Her eyes flicked to her parents, then back to me. "Emma," my mother's voice rose, brittle with panic, "what are you doing here? This is a private walkthrough." I gave her a smile, the kind honed in boardrooms, not living rooms. "I know, Mother, that's why I'm here. As the owner of Crystal Lake Manor, I like to personally handle complicated events." Owner, Jessica's father, Richard Montgomery, stepped forward, frowning, impeccably dressed. He radiated the stiff authority of old money. "There must be some mistake," he said. "We've been dealing with Preston Ventures LLC. "Exactly," I replied, and handed him a heavy, gold-lettered business card. "Emma Preston, CEO-founder, Preston Ventures LLC. We own 8 venues across the state, including this one." Alex's complexion drained from smug to ashen. He'd spent my savings to impress people who didn't even know I outranked him, by a lot. "That's not possible," he stammered. You were saving for some cafe." "A convenient story," I said smoothly. "People don't take you seriously when they think you're small. I made sure you all believed exactly what I needed you to." I turned to the Montgomerys. "Now, let's address the $127,000 that was recently used to pay for this booking." Jessica's mother gasped. "Alexander, what is she talking about?" I lifted my tablet and brought up the banking records. 3 weeks ago, that amount was transferred from my personal account to this venue, using credentials taken without my permission, via an emergency contact. My mother blurted out, "It wasn't theft. Alex needed the money. You've always been so selfish, Emma. He deserved." "Deserved what?" I snapped, cutting her off. "To rob me? To sabotage my future so he could pretend to belong somewhere he never earned?" Richard Montgomery turned a shade darker. "Jessica, is this true?" Jessica faltered. "Daddy, I didn't know. Alex told me he had savings." "Oh, he had savings," I said coolly. "Mine." Maria, my assistant, stepped beside me and handed over a leather-bound portfolio. I opened it to the wedding contract. Section 7(3), I read aloud. "Any indication of fraudulent payment voids this agreement immediately." Alex lurched forward. "You can't do this." Jessica's father grabbed his arm. "You most certainly can." I looked at them all, calm and in control. "But I'm offering an alternative." They froze. Option 1, I void the contract, recover my funds, and press charges. The wedding is cancelled, the venue's gone, and Alex faces criminal charges. Alex went pale. My mother gasped. Option 2, I continued. You return my $127,000, with interest. Let's call it $150,000. Alex publicly admits what he did, and you sign a new contract at double the original rate. Premium access doesn't come cheap. That's extortion, Alex shouted. No, I said, handing him a pen. That's business. I paused, and before you think of shopping around, we're the only venue in the state capable of hosting a wedding of this scale on that date. The invitations have already gone out, haven't they? The next few minutes were chaos. Jessica's parents argued in hushed tones. My mother tried to approach me, but Maria stepped in, smooth and professional. Alex stood in the middle of it all, silent now, his entire scheme unraveling. Finally, Richard Montgomery stepped forward. We'll pay the new rate, he said stiffly, and ensure the funds are returned immediately. Excellent choice. I produced the revised contract. Everything is in order. As they signed, I caught Jessica watching me, a mix of fear and reluctant respect in her eyes. She'd thought she was marrying into a family of strivers. What she hadn't realized was that her future sister-in-law was the one who owned the chessboard. One more thing, I said as the last signature hit the page. Alex has a history of helping himself to things that aren't his. Consider this contract his final warning. Any further attempt to access my accounts or assets will result in immediate legal action. My brother didn't look up. Good, let that silence brand the moment into his memory. The wedding can proceed as planned, I said, sliding the contracts into my briefcase. Though I'd suggest you all remember this, success isn't about who you impress, or what you can take from someone else. It's about what you build with your own two hands. I turned, heels echoing across the marble, then paused. Oh, and Alex, next time you decide someone will never amount to anything, you might want to check whose name is on the deed. The aftermath played out exactly as I expected. The wedding happened, but it wasn't the grand affair they'd envisioned. Several elements were scaled back to afford the new rate, and the Montgomerys kept a polite but frosty distance. The shine had worn off their golden boy. Our mother called a week later, full of teary justifications. "I was only trying to help your brother," she said. I didn't take the call. I sent my response through my attorney, a cease and desist letter, accompanied by a full accounting of everything Alex had taken from me over the years. Let the record speak for itself. As for my business, word got around, discreetly at first, then quickly. Apparently, high society loves a good revenge story, especially when it comes with luxury venues and airtight contracts. Our bookings doubled, then tripled. Within a year, I'd acquired 3 more properties. Sometimes I drive past Crystal Lake Manor at night. The building is stunning in the moonlight, windows glowing softly as they host someone else's dreams. I remember that moment in the entrance hall, the shift when the girl they underestimated became the woman they couldn't ignore. Inside the venue's gallery, wedding photos line the walls, smiling couples, fairy tale moments frozen in time. Alex and Jessica's photo still hangs there, too, right beside it, my first business license and the original deed to the property. A quiet reminder, the best revenge isn't destruction, it's elevation. Alex, last I heard, he was stuck in a junior role at one of Jessica's father's companies. No upward mobility, no illusions left. And me, I'm still building, still buying, still growing the empire I started when no one believed in me. But now, they all know exactly who they're dealing with. No more cover stories, no more pretending to dream small. Because once people know how much you're worth, they stop trying to take what isn't theirs.